punching the button. We're punching it in live. Just a few minutes late today because I had to do a live stream for work, but that's just how it is. That's the consultant life. This episode's all about how to negotiate a higher salary and get paid. And I'm joined as always with Ashrel, aka Andrew Perrin. See, I switched it around, and Ross A. Dillon, always known as Ross A. Dillon. How you guys doing this morning? How you feeling?
Always.
You got that coffee flowing through your veins?
Oh man, I wish I could get more. I'm always sad when the cup's empty.
Cheers.
Me too. In this episode, we're going to talk about how you can negotiate with an employer, with a potential client, or with anyone that's looking to pay you money and getting more money out of them in the negotiation process. We're going to show you an actual proposal that Andrew Perrin used to book a gig that he has right now, making thousands of dollars per month. I won't reveal how much of a billionaire you are, but we're going to show you an actual proposal, and we're going to teach you how you can get your value. You know, one thing that happens a lot is people just take whatever the lowest offer is, especially right now with unemployment rising, millions and millions and millions of people losing their jobs. They're like, I'll take any money I can get. Watch this whole video on YouTube or on Twitter. Listen to this whole podcast all the way through before you offer that lowest possible price, because you may be able to get more value for your time and be able to provide for yourself and your family in a bigger way right now than you think. So we know those tactics and strategies because we're constantly booking new clients. We don't just sit on one job for 10 years, and we're going to help you today. Ross, take it away, bro. We need to just hit them with facts as fast as we can to help people out. Go.
Okay. I always talk about this is how much I love being on this podcast, vodcast, whatever we're doing, because I learned just as much here. And these two are the ones that taught me how to value myself and get the most money out of it. So let's just start from step one. Andrew Perrin, you have an interview. The interview goes great. They send us a proposal. You send the proposal. They say, great. Now send the contract. Step number one, what's your first step after you create the contract? How do you value yourself? How do you judge how much to put down for how much you should be owed, how much you should be paid in the actual proposal?
So first, in the process, if you're thinking about how much you want to get paid, look at how much you deserve to get paid by doing research at like what you actually do online and see what other people are charging, because and it depends on geographical region. It depends on your skill set. See, and whatever title you want to be. So if I do like social media manager, right? This is a frequent title that I'll use in a contract. I will make sure that I go through and I look at like what an average salary would be for a social media manager. And I'll go through and I'll look and I'll see what would be the money made for someone who has 10 years of experience, a very experienced top level, social media manager. And I had been going for that top level for quite some time. That doesn't mean I always go for that, but since I have 10 years of experience doing that type of work, I can be looking at the top level there. So be true to what your experience set is. Don't over jump on the price, but don't undercut either. Go high. I always think of getting paid and negotiating a salary as a negotiation. And if somebody really wants you on board, which means you should be doing a good job of showing your value. If the initial meeting goes well, the initial interview goes well, go high. Because if they really want you and you're too high, they'll say, hey, that's too high. How about this number instead? And if you just take the low number, I mean, you could be working for this client for years and you could start out like 3 years ahead if you negotiate higher, or you can start out 3 years behind if you don't negotiate. And so in this situation, you went through a lot of steps there. I want to break those down a bit. First of all, sending the initial proposal. That's the most important step. That's where you initially put the money on a piece of paper or in a document next to what you want and what you can do and accomplish for them, right? Don't oversell it. Be accurate. So AWOL is bringing up like one of my contracts here. I try to fit it all on one page. I say whether I'm going to be working part-time or whether I'm going to be working full-time. As a consultant, I normally do short-term contracts to start. And then if it's a client that I like a lot, from there, I try to write in like, I will want to negotiate after the initial contract term for a longer contract, which in this one is term 3 months, open to renewal upon mutual agreement. So it shows that I'm looking for something longer term, but I'm only going to be offering 3 months for them to like chew on in the get-go. So you're not overwhelming them. Make the overview simple, 1 paragraph, and primary responsibilities simple. One of the things I did in this latest one is I say what responsibilities I want to own for them, not just what I can do for them, but like the responsibilities that I will take on and for their company, for that client, or whatever. That's extremely huge, because normally if they're seeking outside help and they're seeking outside consulting, it's because they don't want to have to do something. And they don't want to have to be responsible for something. They just want somebody else to cover it. If you come in saying, that's on me, if I do it wrong, that's on me. If I do it right, that's on me. Take responsibility. That also sets you up to have some ownership of whatever part client work that you're doing, which can give you a little bit of a foot in the door in terms of, is there legroom to move up into other things? So that's a quick proposal overview. Keep it 1 page. Show a picture of yourself. You're a remote consultant. They're not going to be necessarily meeting with you in person, so they need to see what you look like. That initial proposal is important. You do that for free. You're not going to be charging to give them a proposal. This is different from a marketing proposal, which I know, guys, we've run into a bit when we try to get clients as a group. Sometimes we'll hit companies, especially if we're trying to consult to a company. And a company will ask us, okay, that proposal looks good. Can you basically build us a marketing proposal? Which that's different. That we should charge money for. That's a service. That's saying we're going to take a look at your whole company, all of your marketing initiatives, and we're going to put together a strategy and we're going to propose what that strategy will be. You don't do that for free. That should be a service that you provide. So keep it clear. It's a proposal for your work that you're going to be doing, not a proposal of the actual work that you'll be doing, if that makes sense. So don't actually do the work totally unless they really, really need a portion of it to for you to prove that value. So to review, proposal to show what you're going to own, how much you're going to charge, and then how you're going to show value. How's that going to work? Are you going to show value just in the interview alone? Are you going to follow up with some additional items, an additional document saying, here's a quick plan that I'm going to be executing on social media, and I'm going to be covering this item, this item, this item, and I'm going to be particularly deploying this Twitter strategy with an advertising component. That's how that's going to look. The more clarity that they have as a follow-up on what you will be doing, especially if they have questions after the post interview, that's good. You can do that for free, but don't build a full marketing proposal. There are companies out there who are looking to exploit consultants for free marketing work, and the guise of it being like a proposal type scenario. So just be aware of that. Guys, any thoughts to add there so far? I just went through a bunch of stuff.
I've got a lot to add from a practical standpoint.
Go for it.
Oh, go ahead, Ross. Go ahead. Okay, I'm going to go for it. I'm going for it.
Go for it.
All right, really quick. If you want to know where the salaries are at, where you can go check out and see what other people are being paid, Glassdoor is a fantastic website where you can just search the type of job that you are looking to break into, and people on Glassdoor will enter their own salaries anonymously, essentially, and you can basically figure out what people are getting paid or not using this website. So I highly recommend checking out Glassdoor.com. This is the kind of landing page you look at. You click on hunting jobs, you search jobs within their platform, and you'll be able to see what people in your field with your level of experience are making within your region of the world. It's great, especially for people in North America. You can do some Googling about how much graphic designers make, or how much consultants make, or how much whatever job you're looking to do makes, and you can kind of get an idea of a range. But consider that a range. It's not an ironclad sort of number. And when you're thinking about what number you can quote your client, not only Do you need to think about your own level of experience, whether you have 5, 10, 15 years? You also need to think about how much revenue that business makes. If it's a small business with one operator CEO that like it's just him, for example, or her, and they're looking to bring on their first person, you probably are going to need to go way lower on your range of how much you're charging them because they probably don't make that much money. If you're looking to break into some sort of mega corp that has unlimited funding and has super high level executives with $1 million salaries, then you can probably go to the higher end of the range. So you need to consider how much money the business actually has before you try to max out your proposal so that you're not completely in outer space in terms of how much money you're quoting. So that's really, really important. And the other thing I wanted to highlight about this proposal that Perrin has here, this is a real proposal that he has sent a real client, by the way. This is not some generic template. We just took out some of the personal information. It's on one page. And so this is really important to put your proposal on one page. Nobody wants to read a freaking book about you. Nobody has time for that. And what he's broken down is, here's how much time I'll spend on you. Here's how much it costs. Here's why I'm credible. In one paragraph, here's what I'm going to be doing for your company. And the client doesn't even have to think about what your job is going to be. You've done HR's job for them. HR doesn't have to do anything. They can just literally take Andrew Perrin's document and just go to their boss and say, hey, boss, look what I found, this perfect job and this perfect thing and blah, 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 blah. And it makes them look amazing when Andrew Perrin did all the work for them. You don't want the potential employer to have to do any work to hire you. You do it all up front so that they can just say yes. You don't want to give them any reason to have to think, well, do I have time to work on getting this person on board? You want them to say yes so that money's in your pocket immediately. Go, Ross.
You answered my first question. My very first question was, where are you going to find the average salary? Glassdoor is the best. Indeed also does offer it. Now, the other question I had, and this is for both of you, because this is something that I see a lot. When you are quoting that higher price, is it or is it not important to put the word negotiable in there?
No, I mean, that should be assumed that it's negotiable. You don't need to put it in there. So, all right, two main things we need to cover here. When negotiating a salary, one of the most important things is if you want to have a higher salary and you want to negotiate for one, you have to have leverage. Where is your leverage coming from, right? And the remote consultant world, this comes from already having clients. If you're already secure, so this will be hard if you're just starting out, you have no clients, you're not going to have much leverage. So you're going to have to take what you can get most of the time. But once you do have clientele, and once you are getting paid and you can get into a comfortable routine in a situation with that, finding new clients, you have leverage, right? You don't necessarily need a new client. So you don't have to take a client that's going to pay you crap and you're going to have to do a ton of work. You can be picky and choosy about that. Your leverage is you're already getting paid doing the same type of work from this other client for more. So why are you going to take less? And you can just show that or say that. The other leverage is, just already making the money, already having those gigs, right? It's the same in the actual work world, even if you weren't a remote consultant. If you're working in one job and you're getting paid and you work there, let's say for 2 years or so, and you want to move up, but there's no lateral room in that company, you want to get hired somewhere else. You leverage that current job that you have and you look for new opportunities. And you can even get yourself into a scenario where you can use those new opportunities that you might be getting to get a pay increase or a role increase at your current gig. It's all about leverage. Once you have that and you know how to use it in a negotiation, you can start getting higher and higher paying clients, and you can kind of keep the ball rolling as long as you keep consistent with client work and you don't run into a situation where you don't have anything at all. And then you get kind of desperate. You lose all your leverage. The second really important item is your contract. We didn't really go into that yet. This is a short cast here on Friday, but we just talked about the proposal. The contract, getting some sort of agreement into place is so important because there are businesses and there are clients out there who will try to screw you over and not pay you. So you need to protect yourself. You need to find some legal counsel. There's plenty of stuff online. I recommend finding just a good friend who is a lawyer who you can just work with directly. We don't all have that option, but that's the most ideal.
Get
Find
somebody
someone who can
local
help.
if you can. Local, dude, for sure.
Yeah.
So you can meet up,
Find
have a
someone that you
coffee,
can,
do
like-
whatever, call them on the phone.
Right.
Exactly. Don't do everything remote necessarily. You want your legal counsel to be someone you can like meet with in person. Anyway, I'm not going to give you that type of legal advice. I'm just going to say that you should have legal counsel to help you with a work contract. So in that work contract, you need to lay out what you're going to be paid, when you're going to bill for it, when you should be paid by, what the services you'll be providing are, whether there's, non-competes, et cetera, whatever, right? Sometimes, and this can go different ways. Sometimes clients give me their own contracts of which I sign. Sometimes if it's creators, like lower level, smaller or mid-level creators, I'm not expecting them to give me a contract. So I will put together something very, very simple and lean for them through a quick email agreement where we're on the same page. Whatever opportunity you're at, you have to have written somewhere an agreement of how you're going to get paid and when you're going to get paid and what work you're going to be doing. It's like the most important thing. Otherwise, you're going to be doing a ton of work and you might not get paid.
Ooh, I have an idea there.
AWOL has an idea there.
Okay, so anybody you're doing a smaller gig for, this is not legal advice. This is just what I've personally done in the past. People that are paying you, let's say, a couple $100 or less than $100 for something for the first time. Obviously, having a lawyer draft a contract for you guys to use for $500, you would lose money to help people right? So that doesn't make any sense. So what you can do,
Yeah, don't do that.
And I'm not saying this is not legal advice, but this is just a very practical thing you can do as you're trying to book clients. Use a service such as Square. Square has an incredible invoicing system that you can use to invoice clients on the interwebs. It's not just the kind of swipe your credit card at a food truck service that you may be familiar with. Square actually lets you do invoicing. I'm not paid to say this. You can do invoicing through this platform. It'll email an invoice to your client. They will pay you through the internet. And in that invoice, you can literally list the services. So you take payments more easily, blah, blah, blah. But you can actually list the services that you are going to provide them in the invoice. So you can have a record of, I'm going to give you these 5 services. The invoice will have, here are the payment terms. And then you'll have a record of them paying you money for a specific set of services in the invoice. Now, is that as ironclad as a big long form contract? No. Right. PayPal has that as well. Yeah. I won't show PayPal, but that is definitely.
Yeah.
They do have invoicing. I personally use PayPal invoicing. I think you guys switched over as well. We all started with Square, then we moved to PayPal because more people have PayPal, but you can invoice people through PayPal and do the same thing. You have your name in the header. You have the services you're providing. You can put the payment terms. You have a record of the exchange of payment. If you need to provide a refund, you can provide a refund. It allows you to do everything on your freaking mobile phone, which is super helpful. And you can just quickly export all of that information for tax time, which is really, really nice, as opposed to flipping through papers and looking through a file cabinet for paper contracts or something ridiculous like that. So it's really helpful, Square and PayPal, for quick invoicing and quick booking of clients so you can quickly get paid.
Right. I have one last question, and then I don't know if we got to get going or not. I don't know the time. When you're writing out the contract, do you guys have a preference? Does it make a difference on getting paid up front or at the end of the month, assuming that we're talking about it, bi-weekly or monthly contract?
I normally do the work up front to show value at the gate. And most of my bigger clients that I've worked with, most of the money that I've made, I do like a full month of work up front, and then I get paid at the end of the month. Now, I have run into scenarios with clients where I suspect that things are going to be a little bit shadier, if you guys know what I'm talking about, or I'm given a reason to be a little bit skeptical about whether or not I'm going to get paid. I'm not really sure. And I don't really want to spend a whole month of working just to not get paid. So that would really suck. So in those cases, I will ask for half up front, or I will charge hourly and I want to get paid either weekly or biweekly. in those scenarios. I will say that there's only like one instance I've ever run into where I've had to do that. Otherwise, I've always been able to get a contract into place and do the work up front and then get paid at the end of the month. So it just depends on what clients you find. And, you know, when you're assessing them, make sure you really do your research and you try not to have rose tinted glasses when you're looking at maybe the job opportunity. Like maybe it's something, you know, for me, this could happen in gaming, right? If it's like some like gaming branding opportunity or marketing or social media, I get really excited about that. And I can have blinders on in terms of like, is this business conducting itself well, or is it kind of shady? You know, is there a lot of word of mouth about things in which they've kind of screwed over past clients? Be aware of that stuff and protect yourself going into it. So that's it. Basically, charge hourly and get paid weekly if you're not sure, or get half up front. But most of the time, if you can, it's better to prove your value first, then get paid. Asking for a bunch of money up front is tough to do, and it's gonna scare some people away. So you really only want to pull that out if you're really, really skeptical and unsure of, you know, the legitimacy of them actually paying you.
Yeah, I agree. And if you are scared about the legitimacy of the client, then you, if you can, don't take the client. In my experience, those never work out. And it's just a waste of time and energy wondering whether you're going to get paid and what have you. When people tell you, hey, let's just do this without a contract for a while. You trust me, right? Things like that. Those are people you shouldn't do business with, no matter how enticing their business proposal may appear to be. And another thing is, if you ask for payment up front, it can slow down the process of you actually starting the job. And so therefore it slows down the process of you getting fully paid for the gig, because then there's going to be some negotiation. There's going to be some emails. It could delay by a week, a couple weeks of you actually getting paid. So the sooner you can just start the work and then invoice them later, the better. Because if you do an incredible job for someone, they're going to want to book you for the following month. They're going to see it as a huge lost opportunity if they don't continue to book you and continue to pay you. And so you actually get the leverage by providing that upfront work in the first month if you're doing a bang up job. And the client will just be clamoring to continue to book you and to pay you. And so the sooner you can start, the better. You want to get people while they're hot. You want to get people while they really are excited about you and the value you can provide their business. And the more you negotiate and do payment terms and all this BS up front, the longer it will take for them to actually see the results. And if you wait days or weeks, people just kind of lose interest and move on to the next thing. You got to strike while the iron is hot to get those clients and to get them to think that you're the best thing that ever happened.
Yeah, see, I'm the opposite.
Yeah, it's all about proving.
I take a different approach.
Proving value. What's this? What's your approach, Russ?
Yeah, tell us your opposite approach, please.
Typically, because if I'm working with a company or a business or organization, then yes, I will do the work up front. But however, I think it also depends on what niche you're going after. When I'm working with comedians, I say money up front, 3 months guaranteed of work. And I've never had anybody really not go for it, because number one, most of my clients at this point in comedy, and this is also how it's going to work in just about any other industry, it's going to be based on a recommendation. Somebody's not going to recommend you if they don't know you're going to do a good job. You have a portfolio in front of you to show them the work, depending on the industry. And it's especially when you're working with individuals. A lot of times they will take advantage of you. It's happened to me many times before, and that's why now, like I said, when working with individuals, I request the money up front before I ever start.
There you go. So different niches, different types of businesses, different types of business practices. That makes sense. It all depends, I guess, is what we're trying to say. So you have these different options for you to review. If you're concerned, very concerned, charge them by the hour and bill them by the week. If you feel pretty good about them, you can take an upfront deposit and then charge them the rest at the end of the month. And if you know it's ironclad and you have nothing to worry about, then you can just bill them at the end of the month. These are the 3 types of options based on the amount of risk you're taking on and based on the clientele.
Yeah.
And these comedians, they think they're hilarious taking advantage of Ross. I will come over to their house and beat them up. You didn't tell me about these guys, Ross. I will take them down.
Oh no, and ironically, some of
boy.
these are actually no, they're the people I work with right now. And once you have an established relationship with them, like the guys I work with right now are fantastic. They always pay up front at the front of the month. But if they couldn't, if they said, hey, I got to wait 2 weeks, that's cool. Because, at this point you have a relationship, they're good for it. So, it's really initially just to get the ball rolling, just to establish that immediate trust between 2 people working together in a, an industry that, it's a little iffy here and there on sometimes if you're going to get paid or not. It's important. But I think, it's like you said, it really is situation depending on, and if you can avoid taking clients that you don't think you're going to trust, I think that's the most important thing. Like you said, just don't.
If you have any red flags, if you're thinking red flag or that's a red flag, it's a red flag. Like it really is.
It is.
Yeah.
Red flag. Yeah.
Like we've been in so many situations where like, well, that was a red flag, but we I kind of end up keep going because I really like the opportunity and I'm really excited about it. And like, in my mind, I just noted that was a red flag and here I am still trying to go after it. So, I mean, I've made these mistakes too. When you see red flags, begin to like back away and just try like eventually, even if you were to land things with that client, imagine working with them like longer term. It's just going to end up being a nightmare and full of stress for you. You don't want that. You want great clients who really form a good relationship with you, who are going to recommend you to other potential clients and go from there. So you don't want to have to work with these other shady groups or clients or whatever you end up running into.
Thank you so much for watching this episode of The Digital Drop, weekdays at 9 a.m. Eastern on Twitter at Digital Drop Pod. The replays go up on YouTube in the evenings right after the episode, and the audio versions go up in the evenings after every live episode every day. So you get about a 12-hour delay if you want the replay that night. That's it. Thank you so much for watching. We really appreciate everybody who comes live. If you want to join us live on Twitter, you can, and ask us questions live. Or tag us on Twitter at Digital Drop Pod with your questions. We will address them in future episodes. If you send us a video question, you have a 100% chance of being on a future episode as well. So keep that in mind. Ross, Perrin, we need to go do our jobs and we need to negotiate higher salaries again. So let's go ahead and do that.
All right. Have a good weekend, everybody.
All right, see you guys later. Adios.
See you guys.